Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to fit some projection logo lights. In the kit there's two projection logo lights. I've only taken one out, the other one's in the box. A hole saw, and you will also need some extra wire to complete the install and a few connectors, which I'll show you as I'm installing. Before we go outside, I want to solder some extra wire to the projection light. So as you can see, the wires are so thin you can't really do much than solder them. So I'm going to solder some thicker gauge wire and go from there. So I'm going to twist the wires together. Well, try and twist the wires together. Just clean the tip, turn it. Very fiddly because it's so thin. See, this is the problem you get. As you can see, I hit the wire with the soldering iron, but I won't worry too much about it. Well, I'm not going to anyway, but you've got your heat shrink to cover it. So that's what I'm going to do next. Put the heat shrink on. And then using a heat gun, shrink the wire. And there we have it, heat shrinked on. And then what I may do is get another piece of heat shrink and put it over, or use insulation tape. Choice is yours. I've decided I haven't got any larger heat shrink, so what I'm going to use is insulation tape. It's just as good. So I'm just going to wrap it around. I'm not doing it too tight, but you may disagree, but you know, I've never had any issues with it. And there we have it. So this end, so because this is actually getting put onto the door card, you want to be able to take your door card off and then unplug it. So what I'm going to be using for that are these bullet connectors, so they can get taken on and off quite easily. So you plug it in, unplug it. So I'm going to use these. So the power's coming in to this red wire, so I'm going to be using this bullet connector here. So make sure I get the right amount. Twist the wires. So I'm going to put the bullet connector on. There you go. Just felt it stop. And then using the red dot, that's the one I'm going to be using. Try and hold it the right way around. Make sure the wire's in. And crimp. There we go. Solid. And then I'm going to use the other one so that you can't mix it up when you're reconnecting. Twist the wires. Same again. And twist on. And there we go, solid connections. Now let's go outside and get it installed. Right, to fit the light we need to remove the door card, so we need to take off this bit here, this section here, that bit, including the switch, and there's 2 bolts underneath. So we need to remove the fixing from there and one from there. Right, in order to move that, what I normally do is just push it in and then it comes out, so you don't need to dig into it and ruin the plastic. So I'm going to remove this section here. And leave this to one side. So now we're going to move this section here. Get underneath. Gently does it. There we go. There we go. Unplug the switch using that tab there. There we go. And that's removed. Right. Using a 10mm socket. I know they're only push-ins or push-outs, but I like to unscrew them so I don't damage them. So I'm going to feel for where they are. Put it in. I think they should just pull out. There you go. So I untwist them so far so that these can contract together when you pull it out. Two. Now I'm going to remove this door handle, and I think there may be another screw somewhere, but we'll find it as we go along. So yeah, we've got to take that, and one in there. So for these 2 screws you need a Torx bit, which is a T25, so we'll remove those. One, 2. Little clip here which needs to be pushed and then removed. So the only thing left now is removing the door card, but I'm not going to bore you with that because every vehicle's different, so there's no point in me telling you, but I would advise using one of these or a different type to help you remove it without doing any damage to your door card or to the paintwork on the inside. Right, the only problem we've got when you're using wired projection logo lights is how to feed the wire from the inside to the door. With the newer cars, you've only got these plug-ins, so you twist it and it all comes off as a wiring loom. So we now need to find out a source of power to get the lights installed. So what I'm going to do is try and source the power from one of the wires here, so when the ignition is on, that's when the projection lights come on. I know it's not an ideal way of doing it, but that's the only way without drilling, or I don't want the wire showing or fixing the wire onto here. I just want a nice neat install that yes, it's going to be using the ignition to switch the door lights on. So now what I'm going to do is test for the source of power. So ground it. So nothing's on at the minute, so I'm just going to go through, and if you have a look at the multimeter, there's nothing on there, nothing on there, Nothing on there. Nothing on there. Nothing on there. Nothing on there. So if I switch the ignition on, and then we should get a power, or a source of power from that loom there. So the ignition's on, same again. Check through. So there's nothing on there. We're getting 12 volts, well, nearly 12 volts, and that's the black wire, solid black wire. Nothing on there. Nothing on there. Nothing on there. Nothing on there. So your black wire is the main source of power, which is there, and the rest are to do with the switch. So when you're using the switch, it'll transfer the power to the motor to put the window up and down. So that's that. So now what I'm going to do is use some extra wire just to get two lines. So one's going to be the power, which I'm going to use the red onto the black, so that we know that's power, and then have an earth coming off one of these bolts here, depending, and then tie them in together, and then put those other connections on. So what I've done is expose the want to expose the wire underneath. I had to remove some of the Tessa tape that keeps the loom tidy, but I've ordered some more, so I'll be doing that on a later date, re-loom it. So now I'm going to attach this piece of wire onto there, like so. So I'll get my strippers. All I'm going to do is just split the wire like so. So there we go, that's split. Take some of that off and then wrap it round. So all I'm going to do is solder that now. There we go, that's soldered in. Right, soldered that. So now what I'm going to do is using the insulation tape and cover that joint there. I'm going to go over it twice just to make sure it's properly insulated. And that's your power, and there's your power lead for the light. I'm just going to put tape round here on the loom just to hold it in place. So now I'm just going to put another piece of tape there just to hold the wire in. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is put an inline fuse in. So it's going to be a 5 amp fuse. So the idea here, that I did order some fuse holders, but they haven't turned up. But in the meantime, it'll be using the same principle, putting these on at the sides. But what I'm going to do is, for now, is fit them on like this, so the fuse is in there. I won't suggest this, but just to get this installation done, that's what I have to do. So I wouldn't advise you doing this unless you know what you're doing, or you know what whoever's doing this knows what he's doing. But because I'm still waiting for him, this is what I'm doing for now. And then what I'll do is remake this part using proper fuse holders. So anything with power of 12 volts, you should always put a fuse in. So any issues occur, this will pop first before any damage is caused on the wiring or on the actual unit. So I've put the inline fuse in. As I said before, it will get replaced, but for the meantime, just to complete this installation, I'm doing that. So what I'm going to do now is just put some tape around it just to hold it in place. And there we have it. So what I've done is just neatened it up a bit, taped it up to the existing wiring loom, and to stop this moving around so it doesn't dislodge or anything. So now I'm just going to test that it's still giving power, drawing power, which it is. So that part's done. So what I'm doing now is putting a connector for the earth in. So I'm just going to get a bit of black wire and put it next to this and attach it to the earth to the door. So using that bolt, so that does fit in there, and it'll go behind and it'll earth it. So let's get that bit done. I'll put this on first and then measure out the wire and then put this on. So I've measured out the earth. There you go. So I'm going to put that in. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to make this a bit extra long so I can fold it half so I can get it in that hole there, or even more. Now I'm going to use the yellow dot on here. Here you can see it crushing the wire. And that's in solid. So I'm going to attach it behind there now. As you can see, you can just see it come through. There we go. Now I'm going to fit that bullet connector on here. So strip it back. There we go, solid connection. Now I'm going to test this, put the ignition back on and test it that it is earthing. Right, the ignition is on. So now I'm just going to test it that it's got a connection. So you'll see 12, should see 12 volts on there, or 11, which you do. Oop, that's come off. There we go. Right, just to demonstrate that it's working, I'm just going to plug it in for now temporarily, and there we go. You won't see it much in the daylight, but yeah, it's working. So what I've done is put some masking tape on just to for measurements purposes, so I can put a line, a mark in there where to drill. So I've taken 300mm, so that and that number I'll transfer it onto the other door card, and now I'm going to drill it through. And there we have it. Right, I put a bit of masking tape on just to make sure that I know which way the logo is facing on the floor. So now that's where the Ford comes in, so I need to fit it in like that. Now I'm going to fit this bolt on. Now I've put that in, I'm going to try and test it and see what happens, and see just to make a few adjustments if need be. So we'll do that now. Yeah, there we go. So a few minor adjustments and we've got the logo straight. So now I'm just going to tighten it all up. All I've done here is just secured it to this foam bit with a bit of masking tape. There is some special tape that you can use, but I'm using what I've got, so that holds it in pretty well, so your wire's here. So there we have it. We've got it all connected here and it's running all the way along, and all I'm going to do is put the panel back on. So I won't show you putting the panel back on, so once it's all in we'll go over it. Panel's back in, lights in, and let's have a look at it at night. There we go. I think that's the result. And here's one side. If you like this video, like and subscribe.